Can a small group of attackers bring down large portions of the US power grid armed with AK-47s and flashlights? In this video, we're going to talk about attacks on the American electric grid. We will focus on 3 specific incidents and then cover some general trends. I came across these while researching for my next topic in the How This Ends series. Please like and subscribe to continue seeing this kind of content. The first attack we're going to talk about began at 12:58 a.m. on April 16, 2013. AT&T fiber optic cables were severed in an underground vault near the Metcalf substation, located about 13 miles from San Jose, California. These fiber cables provided monitoring and communication signals to the substation operator, the electric utility PG&E. We know there were at least 2 perpetrators, as the cover for the underground vault was too heavy for one person. This story was broken by the Wall Street Journal originally. Around 30 minutes after severing the fiber cables, surveillance footage shows a flashlight signal reflecting off the chain link fence, immediately followed by shooting. Over the course of 20 minutes, at least 100 shots were fired from AK-47s into the cooling systems of 17 high-voltage power transformers before another flashlight signal is seen and the firing ends. Funnily enough, 1 minute after the last signal, a sheriff's deputy pulls up to the substation, being alerted by a 911 call from an engineer at the nearby power station who reported gunshots. Not having access to the substation, and not seeing any obvious damage or anything else suspicious, the officer left the scene. Quickly after this, all 17 of these transformers overheated and failed. This would have caused a widespread outage of Silicon Valley. However, the utility operator was able to reroute power fairly quickly such that any outages experienced were very brief. These attackers caused massive damage without ever stepping foot inside of the substation, staying outside the fence line when they shot inside to the power transformers. Learning about this attack, the chairman of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, John Wellinghoff, brought a team of military experts to assess the scene. These experts found roughly 100 cartridges that were all free of fingerprints, indicating that they were wiped down and loaded with gloves on. Additionally, small piles of rocks were found at the shooting locations, likely being placed by an advanced scout, marking advantageous shooting positions. The power transformers targeted were large step-down transformers, the kind that are not easily replaceable. It took PG&E 27 days to fix the damage, although I haven't found what that entailed because it takes much longer than 27 days to build each of these large transformers, and utilities rarely stock spares. I'm writing extensively about this topic in my longer form essay. To this day, there are no known leads on who performed this attack, although it was obviously planned and fairly sophisticated. It is unknown what the motive of this attack was, but there has been speculation that it was some kind of trial run or some kind of warning of what is possible. Moving on, the next attack was performed by a much less sophisticated actor. However, it's interesting for different reasons. On September 25, 2016, an assailant fired at least 3 rounds from a Springfield M1898 rifle chambered in .30-40 into the cooling radiator of a high-voltage transformer. Not exactly a scary-looking rifle. Anyway, this took out the transformer and caused a local power outage for roughly 8 hours until the utility could get the damage repaired. After a 3-year investigation, the individual responsible was identified in 2019 as Stephen McRae, and, during sentencing, he revealed that he performed the attack to, quote, save the Earth from humans who are hyper-exploiting and causing abrupt climate change. He also claimed he wanted to, quote, destroy industrial capitalism and do millions of dollars of damage to the fossil fuel industry. He also admitted he was planning on what he called the Granddaddy attack, to hit 5 substations at once in hopes that it would cripple the Western power grid. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison and 3 years of probation after being found guilty. This guy was obviously mentally disturbed, but it piqued my interest in how many substations it would take to cause persistent and widespread issues. It turns out taking out transformers at 5 substations this way could cause massive issues. The same FERC chairman mentioned earlier, John Wellinghoff, commissioned a study that looked at 30 different critical substations throughout the country and performed power flow analysis and determined that if 9 were hit simultaneously, it could cause a prolonged, that is, greater than 18 months, blackout from coast to coast. This is again reported in the Wall Street Journal. Some other experts have stated that this study was too limited and oversimplifies things. Either way, the study underlined the fact that a fairly small number of people with easy-to-get weapons and limited coordination could cause incredible damage, a frightening thought. The last attack we're going to talk about occurred on December 3rd, 2022, beginning around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. 2 substations in North Carolina, West End and Carthage, operated by Duke Energy, were attacked by unknown assailants. Less information has been publicly released about this attack. However, for both substations, assailants opened fire and destroyed at least 3 transformers. The West End substation also had its gate ripped off in what appears to be a ramming or a pulling, whereas it has not been publicly released whether the Carthage substation had its perimeter breached. It has also not been released what type of guns they used or how many bullets were fired. All we know is that it was more than 24. This attack resulted in over 100,000 people, over 45,000 customers, being without power for up to 5 days. More than 24 shell casings were found. However, there's been no public information revealed to us whether they contained fingerprints or any other information. In fact, there is some indication of miscommunication between the FBI and local authorities. As reported in the local news, the shell casings were taken by the FBI for forensic investigation and were held over a month, although they were requested and supposed to be returned to a North Carolina state lab for testing. This caused delays in the local investigation. Similar to the first attack, to date, no arrests have been made, no motive known, and little information has been released to the public. During the blackout, at least one hospital had to operate on emergency backup power. More county schools were ordered to close for the duration, and there was an emergency curfew put in place for all residents in affected areas between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. for the duration of the outage. There have been at least several other attacks like this, and the number has been increasing in recent years. We haven't talked much about cyber attacks, as I'm still researching and understanding them better, but if we count cyber incidents as well as the physical ones, there were 97 incidents reported in 2021. Given the damage the loss of a few critical substations can cause, this number is already troubling. What's more troubling is that in 2023, the number of incidents increased dramatically to 185. On top of this, the grid as a whole is becoming less reliable. The average time that a customer in the United States goes without power per year has increased 61% from 2013 to 2023. Don't get me wrong, the total time is still fairly low, but we're moving in a troubling direction. Additionally, the price of these power transformers has been increasing dramatically, like everything else, over the past 5 years. These transformers are in high demand, partially due to power-hungry data centers and the rise of AI. Only about 20% of demand for these transformers can be met domestically, meaning that the rest must be imported. Given the unsettling economic picture and the relationship America has with other countries at the moment, there is concern with the ability to adequately respond to the demands of the day, let alone any unexpected widespread events. So that's it for this one. Let me know if you like this shorter, more focused content. I'm working on the longer form essay, but it takes a ton of time to research and write, and so I wanted to make content, bringing you all along with me while I'm researching and writing about these things. The overall topic of the next essay is the vulnerability of the electric grid. So if you have some solid sources, please post them in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Until next time.